to this new episode of our show. Today we have the pleasure of having with us Carlo Marinoni, a fellow Italian. Carlo has been driving innovation and sustainable transformation for years in the energy and services sector, and is well known for his ability to lead organizations through complex processes of change. With a foundation in nuclear engineering, Carlo, and an MBA from London Business School and also a formative semester at MIT. He has got a 30-year career spanning from consulting, first focused on technology strategy, business planning and turnarounds, and then as an executive, in guiding operational excellence and digital transformation in companies. He has championed the adoption of advanced digital tools. I'm sure this is something also we're going to discuss. More recently, application of AI in service businesses, and also projects in cogeneration and biogas upgrading, always with I guess a focus on sustainability. And as you probably know, Carlo, I'm very passionate about sustainability, so we will touch on that as well in our conversation. Carlo's approach blends technical expertise, financial rigor, deep commitment to the human dimension of leadership. I guess that's very important. And his work in waste management consulting and his current leadership in energy transition projects truly reflects a long-standing dedication to the topic of sustainability and circular economies. I guess, Francesco, we have a very special guest today, so this is going to be an interesting chat. And Carlo, I would like to give you the opportunity, I guess, to maybe tell us a little bit more about your background, and maybe give some color to this short biography I just read.
Yes, actually, the most precious jewel in my journey is not mentioned in my bio because it dates back to my high school, when I studied humanities. So I studied fancy stuff like old Greek, old Latin literature, and most of all philosophy. And that was the imprinting of my career. Then I moved from this kind of stuff to nuclear engineering, which makes me laugh when I go back in my memory, because I took such a huge risk I could not even realize at the time. But eventually I succeeded very well in my studies. And then I became, I was unemployed by law, because in Italy there was a vote which banned the nuclear the power generation.
That's correct.
Because
unemployed by law. That's
Exactly.
That's original.
Unemployed by law. No, the funny story is that I wanted to study physics, because after my humanities, my classical studies, I felt that I was weak in the technology, in the physics. So I said, I want to study physics, but then I will end up being unemployed. I could only become a professor. So I said, no, let's do something. So energy, there will always the need of energy. Nuclear is the best energy ever, which anyone can see that is the best energy, no emissions, no anything. And so I said, yes, nuclear engineering, because it's the closest engineering branch. And, if you are an engineer, you are not unemployed. Bam. Then the vote and unemployed by law. So I entered consulting. I stayed some years in the consulting fields. Then I went to London Business School. I was honored to be admitted in the LBS school, which changed my life. And within this life-changing
you're talking to a UCL professor, right?
That's interesting. Yes, I know, Paolo. But such an experience is really life-changing. And the London Business School,
it's an amazing
UCLA,
school.
We are talking about the top.
Yeah, I agree.
And but within London Business School, I also had the opportunity to spend one semester of the second year at MIT. And it was a life-changing inside a life-changing situation. At MIT, my teacher was Rebecca Anderson. You may check on her bio. She was on another planet. And I really owe to these institutions all what I did afterward. And I came back, I was consultant. Again, I worked in Italy for, I would say the most prestigious Italian companies, the business companies. And then when I found in 2014 a company in the energy sector, and I found a very strange environment with a growth rate unbelievable. And then, as many consultants do, I joined this company and I'm currently working for this company since then. And so when Steve Jobs in his famous speech was talking about connecting the dots, well, my engineering studies, my nuclear engineering studies with the installations, energy, when they came back, and currently we are talking about small power plants, nuclear power plants. We might even enter this field in the next 5 years, which would be really astonishing for.
So finally employed somehow in a sector connected to nuclear.
Exactly, at least energy.
No, that's an amazing story, Carlo, and we've been knowing each other for the last, I think, almost 20 years, and you have been an incredible, endless source of inspirations, at least for me in my professional journey. So we are also, we are here in the show to talk about the sustainability and operation supply chain, especially in this new world where instability is a kind of new paradigm for normality, and everything is so, flexible. We always laugh about this show. We are recording sessions, we are recording episodes, and then we will go live in different weeks. But these recordings has happened in the last 7 months, where basically everything happened from Liberation Day and all the tariff, thing that evolved month by month, with all the relationships, between US, everything is so, flexible, let me say. And so one question would be, since, this global paradigm are gonna end, or at least evolve from a different way we were used to consider, maybe go into a more local to local scenario. From your perspective, how globalization is developing in the energy sector, or on what you see, and is regionalization a trend? Is that really happening? What does it mean in your sector? What do you see?
Well, first of all, just one word about these changes. The motto is who does not expect the unexpected will never find it. Talking about philosophy, it was Heraclitus saying this, and I always found this sentence very real. So we must expect the unexpected. In terms of globalization, is like a pendulum, like many other aspects of human lives. We in a swing, we went thinking of globalizing everything. So we can source a gasket from the opposite side of the world. Let's go. And now also with the situation with the trade tariffs and so on, the pendulum is swinging back to a more local. Clearly, the really relevant point is the equilibrium, is finding the right balance between the globalization, the dumb globalization, blind globalization, and the local. So I find currently, but I bet I'm not the only one, that we are bouncing back from the huge run to globalization. This is true in our sector, but I bet in all the other sectors. So, one ship in the Suez Canal, not only, I do not want to mention the pandemic, but even that one ship gave so many issues that we are now thinking, we are all thinking again, our supply chains, and we are bouncing back. I think that the pendulum will keep swinging until we find the right balance around the right point.
And if I can jump here, Carlo, I think, I definitely share your perspective. I guess, there are many, changes that are, driving this evolution of, global value chains. What would you say are the key drivers impacting at the moment, based on the type of projects, you develop, based on the type of value chains you are involved in?
probably 7 months ago when you started, I would have replied, technology, regulation, risks. But this is currently, I think it's a dumb reply to this question. And because geopolitics is taking, the big chunk of the responsibility for the evolution of global supply chains. We are watching right now what's happening. I would also say that the reply that the drivers of distributing the supply chain, like technology, regulations, and it's an easy reply. I would even say it's a communist reply, because it gives for granted that all the people are the same. Now, all the people are equal, and for sure we have equal rights, we have equal everything, but we are definitely not the same, not only at the individual level, but also at the people level. So there is an esprit of the people, of the different people. And we cannot be as blind as someone saying, I can move production and supply chains wherever I want. For example, if you're talking about mechanical artifacts, there are
Yeah.
three countries in the world capable
Yeah.
of a fine mechanical production: Japan, Germany, and Italy. There is
Yeah.
no one else. Japan, Germany, and Italy. So supply chain, we cannot think of moving wherever we want.
Yeah.
Why?
That's a very
Why there
interesting
is
point
just
you're making.
why there is just France and Italy? Yes, Chile, Australia, California, the new winemakers, but the wine is French and Italian. That's the only point. So we must understand that there are specificities. As we all know that individuals, are not collective. And that's why I mentioned the communist way of thinking. There is also specificity not only at the individual level, but at the nation level. And we must recognize this. So the key drivers to move our global value chains clearly are technology, because technology is enabling a lot of stuff. Clearly is the risk, the assessment, clearly is the politics, but we must keep in mind the specificity of the countries. In Italy, which is super famous for food, entered in the US market with the food industry. Because if you want to provide food to the US, you must manufacture, you must produce in the US. But the companies I have worked for, they brought Italian personnel to the US in the key
Yeah.
areas.
Business positions. Yeah.
By key positions, I'm not meaning managerial position, because US guys are even better managers than Italian guys. But in the key production positions, on how to make pasta, how to make ravioli, stuffed pasta, for example.
Yeah.
So we must keep in mind also these huge drivers, which
And of course, I guess, reading your bio as during the introduction, I guess your passion for sustainability and for building responsible organizations was quite prominent. I really would like to ask you, in terms of ESG factors, what role you think they play in the evolution of value chains?
okay, hold tight. So first statement, I just checked how many researches on ethics, entrepreneurship, success has been carried out. I found the data that since 1966 until now, there have been 100 studies on the correlation between ethics and success in business. Then the results, there is a positive correlation, but I'm not even interested in the result, in the mathematical result. The point that there are so many researches about this correlation means that we feel inside that there is something, there must be a correlation. And hold even tighter, and even think, yes, because I'm saying something very strong, I can even think that the global warming is not related to CO2 more than it is related to the ethics that nowadays we have in the world. I mean, in the old days, we all thought that it was raining or it was sunny because of the ethic, the great flood, the deluge, in the Bible. So I strongly believe in this. That is why all time. But that said, unfortunately, I think that ESG and all the business ethics, let me call it like that, are impacting, were impacting the global value chains from an exterior point of view, not because of beliefs. And now we are observing a swing back with people blamed, to be catastrophic situations, blame because of ESG, because of the application, because of equality. We all see people being fired just because they are women, and you say, okay, it's right the opposite. So I think that this aspect is crucial for the success of a business. I entered this company because I found super top ethics standards and ESG drivers really rooted in the company, not because of a fad, because someone imposed. When I entered, we did not write any sustainability accounts in this company. But as a matter of fact, we were very far beyond many companies who were filling in, the sustainability report. So substance is something. In the past, I have observed not substance, but just, show off, showing that we are ticking off this box. And now we are swinging back because either they are rooted inside the company, otherwise it's just a fad, and as a fad, it will disappear.
Yeah, thanks. Super useful and super important that you, with not criticism, but very pragmatism, from an inside maybe point of view, you explain to us this tricky question now. Let's say, from a no operational perspective, okay, which are the maybe most important factors, for current value chains, but also, and here comes the tricky part, which are the stakeholders, which are the, really the guys or the dynamics on off the books, that you can observe from your point of view.
Again, 7 months ago, the reply would have been very different. Currently, the major stakeholder is the geopolitics. And
Exactly.
the point is that, in my opinion, even 7 months ago, it should have been the geopolitics. But 7 months ago, who designed the value chains did not take into account this ingredient inside the equation. Because money and efficiency and cost effectiveness were the most prominent topic. Now we understand that when China decided to close the rare earth supply, everyone understood. I mean, it's a very big issue. Mr. Trump is doing, in my opinion, an excellent job to make us all realize that there is an issue, that we cannot sleep, and take into account the usual three elements, the cost, the speed, and the effectiveness. No, there is the risk, but there is the geopolitics, there is the freedom. I cannot be free if I'm not autonomous. I can cooperate with you, and it's great that nations and countries are cooperating, but pay attention of having a B plan. Europe cannot sell to US, cannot delegate its defense to the US. That's not acceptable. And in supply chain, I think that in the old days, we were used to take ingredients in the recipe, but that's a mistake. And now the biggest ingredient becomes geopolitics.
Got it. No, super important point of view. Maybe enhancing also to, intersections, private, public sector, maybe more than ever connected. And now, Paolo, back to you. Sorry.
No. It's I think this point that you just made on geopolitics is of course a key one. I guess we try in this kind of show to be very practical, and we kind of like the idea of sharing real stories of value chain restructuring. Is there something, for example, from your sector that you've seen happening, in terms of reconfiguration of the value chain, an experience that maybe you wanted to share with our audience?
The core component of our installations are engines, and we decided big engines, gas engines, and we decided in the old days as our strategy to have only one supplier, which goes against everything you can read in books. So in terms of value chain, it is very critical because we have this one supplier and we are tightly linked with this guy in Austria. So there is not much room in our company to restructure the value chain. That is why 1 year, 2 years ago, we came out with an idea of launching a refurbishment process initiative, which means between reuse and recycling, there is the refurbishment. So we do our job. By the way, I'm taking care of the maintenance of our installations around the globe. So we do maintenance. What we take out from the maintenance should be assessed, checked, and we refurbished the part. And this had an impact, an incredible impact, and still having an incredible impact. Because let's say that I take out a pump from the installation. Then I was used to put another pump, and the first pump was sold or scrapped. Now we take the pump, we open the pump. Maybe we understand that we can change a gasket, we can change an impeller of the pump, and then we reassemble the pump and we use the pump again. So we cannot reuse the pump as it is, but we need to refurbish the pump. It means that we do not have in stock pumps, but we have in stock impellers and gaskets, which reduces the value of the inventory, which makes us faster. And but this is an unbelievable job because we need to check the serial number of the pump. We need to know the history of the pump because otherwise you don't know what you should change in the pump. You don't know if the pump is a candidate to be refurbished or the pump has 120,000 operating hours, so there is nothing more to do with that pump, for example. You don't know which parts you should be changing in the pump when you take the pump off. So the refurbishment approach in our value chain brings a huge amount of information and troubles and issues and difficulties to be implemented, which posed a huge burden on the company. But eventually, we are increasing every 3 months, 4 months. We are deciding which parts to become refurbishable and moving the supply chain from the part itself to the constituents of the part.
And that is essentially like predictive maintenance and preventive maintenance in end-to-end supply chain, also going further to tier 1, 2, under with, I guess, yes, level of complexity definitely higher, but also financially speaking, the benefit is super high because you pull down, the not available like time of work, and also you pull down the inventory levels on the working capital like side of the thing. So super benefit. So beside that, are other factors you see as a determinant in supply chain today? Maybe reliability, maybe time to market, maybe, I don't know, takt time. What?
For us, it's time to market.
2 years time to market. What kind of time to market? Because of current regulation, you guys are developing a machine different in a country that is different to another, or?
I'm thinking of maintenance issues. So
Okay.
there is also the finished product. The finished product, we sold 3 installations in Ireland because by chance we manufactured the installations for a customer in Italy. And then a prospective customer in Ireland asked, and they said, hey, do you have by chance, because regulation was late, we had these installations ready, we shipped them. We told our customer in Italy that we would be late, it was not a problem. And so in this case, it was time to market.
Yeah.
It's more, an exception. In service, time to market is the key, because if you cannot afford to have a downtime in your installation. That is why when you were mentioning that we would be faster with the approach of the refurbishing, actually, regardless the refurbishing, we must be fast, and we were fast. So in our warehouse, we always stock pumps, in my previous example, because if you are losing hundreds of euros, or even in the peak shaving market, where the energy costs, let's say, $1,000 per hour, in that specific hour,
Yeah.
our engine must run. So
Of course.
if there is an issue, I have to be prepared, and I do not have time to open the pump, change the gasket.
Of course.
No, I have to put another pump, or eventually I have to start another engine in parallel instead of the first one, if the market is so crazy. So we always have pumps in our inventory. What changes is that instead of throwing a pump, we throw away. So time to market, back to your question, in our specific case, is the most important. Being nimble,
Yeah.
being fast, being really super fast.
Yeah. Now, stepping back from technicalities and bridging to the first question about your background, we are here with you, and we know you are a unique, mix of humanities and technical studies together with economical studies and all this stuff. And you travel all around the world, and you serve a lot of different companies all around the world, but especially like Italian companies owned. So guessing, in terms of the cultural enrichment like you have, probably we can learn something important in terms of lesson learned, initiatives you are particularly proud of. Can you share with us a couple of them?
Yes, sure. I can share. My thoughts always go to the humans, to the humans.
I guess that.
Yeah. When I entered this company, I'm proud. I brought a lot of innovations in the way they were working. For example, the digitalization of the field technicians, huge impact on cost, on effectiveness, on supply chain. Then another huge accomplishment was the small data. Everyone were talking about big data. I was talking about small data. So very little data, very easy data to improve our effectiveness. I can give you a simple example. If you have an engine with 20 cylinders, 10 on left side and 10 on the right side, and you find that the average temperature of the right side is 10 degrees less than the average temperature on the left side, well, it means that the turbocharger on the right side is pushing less than the turbocharger on the left side. So better do maintenance. That is why I call them small data, because it was not, fancy correlation with thousands of data and then churning all these numbers, and then you
so
find
what?
Exactly. I could just understand small data. That was a really huge initiatives. It dropped down the failure rate of our engine. Nowadays, we are implementing AI, always with a very pragmatic and practical approach. All the PDF, the manuals of our engines, of our applications in the AI. So you ask for something, the AI gives you a resume. But this is technology. This is interesting. This is, great. But the center is human, and the initiatives I'm proud the most is a different one. Is teaching our technicians, because we have 400 technicians in 20 countries around the world. Most of them are in Italy because we're an Italian company, but we have Brazil, Mexico, US, Canada, Israel, Spain, UK, you name it. We are almost everywhere, Australia, Singapore, and we need to train them. And the more they are trained, the better it is for the company, for the maintenance activities, and so on. So I launched these initiatives to do training, but we actually struggled to get meaningful results within it. And the real breakthrough came when we shifted our mindset. We recognized that investing in our colleagues' growth had intrinsic value beyond the immediate business return. And when we understood this, and all the chain of command understood that training a technician is a great thing to do, even if he will resign. But we will have the honor to have trained someone in the field. That was the turning point. Everyone understood the meaning of training, which was not just enabling a higher price on the contract because we have more skilled people, but is the intrinsic value of having someone progressing in his abilities, in his capabilities. It's like, back in school, I saw people who were studying because, out of fear of teachers or parents, or simply to be the best because they wanted to show off, I'm the best. But these guys never achieved good results. Never. True excellence was reached by the people, by the students who were motivated with a genuine passion for the subject. And so it's the same in my case. If you put the man at the center and you really want to do something with a meaning, then you are successful. Otherwise, you will not reach the 100%.
Very interesting. Conscious of time, Carlo, I would like to ask you maybe a final question. I guess, one of your opening thoughts, you basically said that, certain topics are like a pendulum. So I'm kind of curious to know, in your view, where this kind of pendulum is going in the next 5 to 6 years. This means, of course, we see certain things now, kind of a picture, similar trends, similar, I guess, evolutions in terms of value chain evolutions in the years coming, or something radically changing in the medium long term.
I asked my crystal ball,
Yeah.
and I do not even wish to have the right reply, because if I had the right reply, probably I would have solved my problems, and so life would become useless, because unless you have problems to fix and to solve, life probably is not very useful. But that said, the easy pick is that turbulence are going to stay there. I mean, we see Russia, Israel, Atlantic Alliance, the trade tariffs, that will remain there. So big turbulences. And we see in the pendulum globalization, localization, how many pushes are towards, nationalism, closing everyone in their own border. So this is what I think in the next 5 to 7 years to have. Then clearly, I wish is to have I could tell you with the words of the French Revolution. I mean, the liberté, égalité, and fraternité. And I hope that we will reach this in the fraternité, because we are actually all the same. So I hope that. But if I close my eyes and I think in 100 years, can we think that we will make jokes of someone with the color of a skin different than ours? We must understand this. In the old days, Italy was divided into, the north and the south, and the south were the bad guys, and the north were the good guys. I mean, nowadays, I think that there is
One Italy, hopefully.
yeah, this kind of idiots thing. Probably it will be like that in the future. And so fraternité will come. We will understand that the égalité is related to our soul, because we are not the same. Individuals are individuals and not the same. So in the same, égalité is in the soul and not in the body. And then we will free in our spirit. And this is my wish for the next years, beyond the horizon, the time horizon.
Thank you, Carlo. I think I like if you wish, also this romantic view of the future. I guess it's important at times, to really bring a human dimension in these conversations about business and kind of value chains. I guess, especially at the time where we discuss a lot about AI and robots, and kind of that is going to drive change. I guess humanizing these topics is of paramount importance. I guess it was really a pleasure to have you in our show. Congratulations for all the interesting projects you're doing, and speak soon again.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Carlo.
Thank you, Paolo. Thank you, Francesco. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you for listening to this episode. If you enjoyed this discussion, we invite you to like and share this episode on your social media. Enjoy the rest of your day.